I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of
Fantasy Grounds 2. Welcome back. My name is Jason. I'm also known as Zorn on the Fantasy Grounds 2 forums. I'm going to be starting my second tutorial today. This is the campaign entry basics. We're going to cover how to make story entries, images and maps importing, setting up personalities, your items, and setting up tokens. Now, bear in mind that this one is going to be not very rule set specific. I just want to show you how to get things on the screen. So we're going to start off with a story entry. This is going to be where most of your navigation happens. What we're going to have here is, what I always recommend is to put a clear title up at the top. We're going to call this Area 1 Sludge Pit. What we're going to be doing is putting in an encounter from the Kobold Hall Adventure in the DM's Guide. Now, I've already typed this up before, so I'm just going to paste in what I did before. And I'm just going to show you the different tools you have when manipulating your story entries. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to right click and go to formatting. I can set it to underline, italics, or bold. I'm going to use B for bold. You could also do Control U, Control I, or Control B for underline, italics, bold, respectively. I'm going to change my setup. I want to go to the paragraph types. I want this to be listed as a heading. You'll notice it gets a little fancier font. The Sludge Pit player and DM are maps that I have. So what I'm going to do is highlight those, and I want to change these to links so that I can link them to other entries in other sections, so that when I click them, it'll take me straight to them. So next I just have some text for the DM, and then the next area I have is the creatures that will be encountered, and these would be personalities, and again I just want to link to them. So I'll highlight them all, and then I will just say paragraph type link. I also want these to be bold because that's how they were in the adventure, and I'm a little obsessive, so we'll just do that. I also wanted this bold just to remind the DM that he needs to read the next part. This here is what I want to be a chat box. That would be the shaded text in adventure modules. So I'll go to paragraph types, and I'm going to set it to chat frame. Now, this will just be text that I can drag over and let go, and it'll show it as a story entry. If you ever wanted to assign a speaker to it automatically, you could put here, I could put that in. All I did was hit tab. So let me change this back to regular text, and I will make it a chat box, and then you can right click, and you can go here and hit assign speaker. It's a lot easier though just to hit tab, and it'll automatically ask you who the speaker is supposed to be. Now I don't want a speaker on this one, so whoops. Oh, look what I've done. Let's go ahead and change that back to body text, and then make it a chat frame again. There we go. So next is features of the area. I want it to be a heading, and then I just want to bold these so they stand out a little easier, so you can tell where the new sections are. And then I have the tactics. I want this to be a heading, and this just lets you know how they're going to fight, so the DM has some notes on the battle. Now there is a couple I didn't put in here. I didn't use the list icon, which it's a lot like the links, except it does dots instead of boxes. So I've got these links now. What am I going to do with them? Well, first we need some map and some personality entries to link to. So let's go ahead and cover that next. Alright, now that we've got our story entry put in here, we need to get some links built. So first I want to get those maps. If I go to maps and images, you'll see it's blank. The reason it's blank is I haven't put any images in the data folder yet. So what I need to do is, if I go to Start and Programs, under the Fantasy Grounds Program group, there is a link to your application data folder, which looks like this. So it's got all kinds of different folders in here. I'm going to go into Campaigns, and the tutorial, which is the campaign I'm in right now, in my images, and you'll see it's blank. Now I happen to have on the other screen, I've got the images that I need, so let me go in and grab them real quick. Now these are images I made at another time, and it doesn't matter where you get your image, you just need to put an image in. So if I go back to Fantasy Grounds, you'll now see that when I open my images folder, I have those images available, and it loads real time. So I'm going to go ahead and make this edit, and then I'm going to drag those links in. Okay. And what this means is now, if I exit editing mode, when I click this, it'll jump straight to that DM map. So perfect. And if I go to player, it'll show my player map, which looks good. And remember, you can always use control to resize your maps, how big they are. 700 by 700 is the default that it'll max to. Now what I'm going to do is, when I built this map, I tried to get the grid as close to 50 by 50 as I could. So let's just see how close I got. Oh, it's not bad. It's not quite perfect, but it's good enough to play. So that way, whenever I put character tokens on the map, they'll look good. So next, I need my creatures put in. So let's go to personalities, and I've actually got 2 set up already, but let me get rid of those real fast, and let's redo that. Okay, so what's next is to add personalities to fill in these creatures. So we're going to go ahead and open up the personalities window, and I want to hit new. And I'm going to put in Kobold Slinger. Now this template here is based on whatever is loaded with the D20 rule set. So for instance, I'm doing 4th edition now, so my template looks different than this. I'm not going to fill this all out. I'm instead just going to assign a token to it real fast. So let's go into General, and I'm just going to say the Slinger I said was going to be S. So let's put an S there. And I'll close that. And then I also said we'll do Kobold Skirmisher, which I said was going to be a K, so we'll put a K right there. So now I can close this, and let's make sure this is in edit mode, and I can drag the Skirmisher, and I can drag the Slinger over, and I can close the personalities. Now, let's get that combat tracker open too. Let's go ahead and do a little house cleaning here very quickly. Okay, so I've got turn off my edit mode. I've got my DM map, I've got my player map, and then I can actually drag my skirmishers and slingers into the combat tracker many times as I need, and they're ready to go, and it already has a token assigned. So very handy way to have pre-prepared encounters. I can even go here if I want to go straight to their little sheet. So let me go ahead and close that down then. So that means our story entry is good, and then I would just keep making story entries for everything I think I would need to have ready. And then the last section is items. I've already got one put in here. You would just put the longsword, and whatever you have typed at a glance, you just put there, and then once it's identified, you check this. You just share it so that they see it. So the items are really simple and probably the least used. Down at the bottom, well, first let's not skip past the library. You'll notice I had the D20 monsters. And let's go to Kobold. You'll notice I've got the Kobold first level warrior right there. I'm going to resize this to make it a little smaller. If I go to my personalities, I can actually drag this Kobold entry right here straight over and let go of it, and it adds it to the personality window. I could then even rename it and call it Krug, and then I can go in and even assign a token to Krug. Krug is a skull because Krug's a bad dude, and I can put it in there. You'll notice it's got all of his data already listed. So this is why it's very handy to have a monster manual. It's probably the most useful one you'll have is a monster manual and a good selection of maps. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And the last thing we want to do is let's make some of our own tokens instead of using the letter tokens. So, next order of business is adding tokens. So let's go ahead and open up our token window here and get that nice and sorted. When you look in here, we see I have all these letter tokens, but we don't have anything else. Well, just like maps and images, you need to actually copy your token pictures into a folder. So I'm going to go back into the application data folder. There we go. And then I'm going to go into my campaign tutorial, and you need a tokens folder. Now, if you don't know what it looks like, you can just look at one of your basic campaigns, but I'm going to go to new, make a folder, and call it tokens. And then anything in here will have its own thing. I suggest putting in its own bag. I'm going to go ahead and call this DM tokens. There we go. So go into my DM tokens, and then I need to get the tokens I want. So let me just copy them from my other campaign real quick, and I'll paste them in place. Now, I really like the look of these tokens. I did these myself based on the D&D minis, which I'll have a tutorial for this also. But for now, they're in there. That's all that's really important. So let's go back to Fantasy Grounds and open up the tokens, and they aren't showing. The reason they're not is your tokens are loaded when you load the rule set whenever you first open Fantasy Grounds. So two things I can do. I can either close Fantasy Grounds and open it back up, or I can go ahead and just type /reload rule set and hit enter. So it takes a little moment while it reloads everything, basically about the much time as it takes to start up Fantasy Grounds. You cannot do this if you have any players connected, so just keep that in mind. Now, if I go over here, you'll see I have another bag, my DM tokens. So let's go ahead and sort it. It should be there's my DM tokens. And if I go in, there are my 3 new tokens. So what I'm going to do is assign these. I'm going to open my Kobold Skirmisher, and I want this to be the token for a Skirmisher because it looks a lot cooler. And we'll close that. I want my Slinger to be this one. I know it's an Archer, but it's all I had. And I want Krug to be a Kobold. I don't know. That's actually Meepo, the champion. So there we go. Now I've got those listed as tokens. And if I go into my original story entry again, you'll see now they have the token linked to them automatically. If I bring up my combat tracker, and I drag in my Slinger and my Skirmisher, there they are. And then let's go ahead and put the player map up, which remember I already have a grid. And let's put my Kobold Skirmisher on the map. Uh-oh, what happened? He doesn't fit. It's because my tokens are 100 pixels for a medium, and I use 50 pixels for a square. So I'm going to zoom in till he fits. He should actually be a little smaller. And I'm going to lock the token scale. Now he's the right size. And if I go to my combat tracker, you'll notice that the Kobold Skirmisher is the right size automatically. And so there are my beautiful tokens, all ready to go. So that's a brief crash course in exactly how to set this up. I'm going to go ahead and close all that down. And that's the basics of campaign entry. So you guys can get started and start making your campaigns on the table into Fantasy Grounds. Just for a quick idea, here's what my ending Kobold adventure looks like. I have these story entries. I've got these are my maps and images that are used. I've got my personalities. These are all the different monsters I have. Now bear in mind, this is a different rule set. So if you look here, you'll see that my powers and stuff, my pages look different, but that's because I'm using a different rule set. But you'll notice my tokens are still linked. I'm all ready to go. And I think I've even got an item or 2 in there. Yeah. And then down at the bottom, you can see I have my unique tokens that I use. So that's all there is to it. If you look here, the way I set up my adventures, which I'll show you how to do in the next tutorial, this is the only entry I really need to open. Everything else links from here. So I can get to all of my hooks and introductions, my master map, which if I hold control is hotkeyed so I can go to a specific encounter. I can go to each of my encounter areas that have their maps and the creatures that are linked to them. I can also go to my further adventures conclusion. So basically it's a whole adventure from start to end, easy to navigate. So I'll go ahead and get started on that tutorial for you. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy making your campaigns. Thanks a lot.